So this is episode 76.
Yes, good evening. Big cheer for us for that one. That was nice.
Yeah.
The crowd loved it.
I actually played that song kind of the first time in my life.
Me too, to be honest.
Yeah, but you had a little bit time to prepare and I kind of learned it on the fly. Who cares? Dirty deeds. That is the motto of this episode. Dirty deeds means quick and dirty and maybe still effective.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and done cheap means I didn't invest that much time to prepare the song. And today we have a look at all the tonal improvements we can get, but more from a broader kind of view. And this is kind of, let's see all the factors that can make your tone better. And I actually came up with the idea just quick and dirty 2 days ago, since I had that clinic last weekend in Waldorf session near Mannheim, Frankfurt area. And it was nice to have a real clinic in front of real people speaking real German. And there was some nice interaction. And, just thinking back of what the people asked was, everybody has its own little task, how to improve tone. Everybody is coming from a different point of view. But in the end, I felt like it's great to tell you about all the parameters that we can tweak. And the first part is what you can do on the guitar. And this is the first thing, the plectrum, because this is where your brain kind of starts to put the energy towards the guitar. And I want to make a few examples how plectrums can sound different.
Yeah, because there are many, many different types of plectrum. I think a lot of players also swear by the plectrum that they use.
Absolutely.
Me, for example, I used the same one for years and years and years. And
what is it?
Well, this is the newer one. I swore by just a standard Jim Dunlop Tortex millimeter thick one.
Yeah.
And I originally bought that when I was fresh on guitar because it was a nice shade of blue.
Yeah, okay.
And I thought, oh, that looks good, that feels good, it must be the best. And I played that for years and years and years. And a couple of years ago, I came across Jim Dunlop Jazz 3s.
Okay.
And it changed the way that I approach the instrument completely.
Let me have it and see how that sounds. I probably will switch to the Strat because I'm most familiar with the esoteric stuff when it comes to the Strat. But just for fun, this is how this plec sounds. And I prepared.
Can you hear me? Is my mic on? Just answer with a yes or a no, please, because I think a few people might not be able to hear me. So just...
It's working.
Give me a yes. It seems to work, but we're not sure. So just let us know, please. Okay.
I prepared this little box here. Can we show here with this camera maybe? So in this little box, this is the plec I swear by. And this shape is kind of the home plate shape used by Richie Blackmore. And I have this particular shape made from very different materials. So I give you this not too thick plastic. I give you the whole thing in wood. I give you the whole thing in polycarbonate, which is plexiglass. I give you the whole thing in a thick tortoiseshell. I give you the whole thing in a thinner tortoiseshell. I have the same thing in ABS plastic. I have, what else? I think that's about it. Let me swap this to the Strat. Then I can show you exactly the nuances.
Two Ninja says, square pegs, I've never seen those, but that's a very special plectrum, isn't it? That square shaped one?
Yeah.
Indeed, your signature model.
It is my signature model. I mean, if we show to the camera here, there's my name on it. Okay, this is super small. Can we show? So there's my name on it. And we have the same thing with BluGuitar logo, but this is, somebody can see that? Yeah, that's the plexiglass. And here, just for fun, there's the next one. This is the forbidden animal. And to tell you that is the real deal, if you have a light and you look through it, and if it's milky, that's real. If it's plastic, you can see through. Anyway, I show you.
So that's real tortoiseshell.
Yeah, this is the forbidden material.
Okay, so this you can't buy these anymore.
No,
can
anymore.
You? No,
I bought them last century when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that Richie Blackmore was using.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, it's natural material, and so it comes in different thicknesses and different things. Let me show you what happened. Let me maybe find a lick that I can repeat in a way that is like. Can you hear differences? I do, but I don't know if it gets through to you guys.
I especially from the first two that you
Yeah.
played, I'm not sure if the guys are going to hear it as much
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah,
because this is not the most scientific way to
No,
test the
sure.
differences, is it?
yeah. I try to play with the same angle here.
Yeah.
You know,
and
like,
also in the same position, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
as someone mentioned, where you play in relation to the
Of course.
bridge and the neck
Yeah.
also alters the tone quite
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. So I'm just trying to show you that the material of the plectrum changes the tone.
Yeah.
And that's all using the same shape. When we go to the next level, having a different shape, you know, we're getting into another territory. But just to finish this, I go backwards with the same shape. That's wood, very different.
Yeah.
So okay, we heard that, and now I use a different shape, like this teardrop shape, and a thin one. So you hear that how the. You know, or I have a teardrop out of stone.
And that's a much thicker one as well. That must
Yeah.
be 1.5 mm thick or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The tip is not as thick as the rest, but
Yeah.
you can. It's heavy and.
Yeah.
So, and here's a metal one. I think it's aluminium. And there is a coin. Some Brian May stuff. So, okay, that's just the material. Next thing is if I have my plectrum and if I have a certain grip with it, the Ritchie Black. Now I play the same thing with my nylon pick. It's kind of thin.
Just 3.
A bit warmer.
Sort of in the middle, yeah.
Yeah. And back to... So this is why I love this old material.
Yeah, and I'm sure you told this story before, but how did you come to use that material and love that shape? Because it's pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a big Ritchie Blackmore fan, and by checking out his ingredients, I came across the Rangemaster. That original pedal I always have to show you, because that's the secret weapon of the UK guitar heroes. Brian May, Ritchie Blackmore, Rory Gallagher, they all used that kind of treble booster. And the other thing was this weird shape plectrum, which is in the UK was called the Bert Weedon pick. I learned that because this was kind of back in the 50s or 60s. Whoever Bert Weedon was, I think he had a tutorial method in a book, Learn Guitar in a Day, which is not true. But he became kind of a famous guy in the 60s, 70s. So it's like our Peter Bursch in Germany from the UK. And he had also that kind of pick, you know. And what I like about that pick is I got used to this weird shape, and the weird shape has one big advantage. Usually you have to have like a pick angle to play fast in a way. And this weird shape makes that kind of easy in a way. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
If you know how to deal that pick, you don't get stuck somewhere. I mean, that's. So, what's the message here? Picks have a lot of different, and the fingers sound tonal. So no pick is. That's the first part that is responsible for your tone. If you are missing high end, maybe you should try out a different pick. If it's too bright, maybe you should try out a different gauge of pick. If you have the pick, try a thicker one. Thicker sounds warmer. Thinner sounds brighter. And you can experiment with that material, or some people also have different sides they use from their picks. So there's like the round side and there's like the pointy side. There's some options there. Okay.
And for anyone interested, your signature picks, you can buy them on the BluGuitar website, right?
Yeah, we have that. We have those on the BluGuitar website, and the good thing about those picks is they are not too bright, but they also they have a nice shimmery element to it, which I like. It comes from the Strat. I know people with other guitars love them too. It's a different thing. It's at least worth a try. And some people are really excited about it, and other people, it's a personal thing. Goes like, weird pick, let me keep my Jazz 2 or 3. I have a Jazz 2 as well. And by the way, I have a whole bag of signature picks from colleagues, good friends and heroes, which is Steve Vai and who is this Accept, and
Actually played by those guys?
Some
or
of them.
signature models?
No, some are players. I know Steve Vai's Tech, Thomas Nordic, and you know, and this is a Mammoth Ivory, or you know.
Does anyone watching have a plectrum that they caught from a Guitar Hero as they were playing on stage? Because lots of them like to throw their picks into the crowd, don't they? If anyone's got a cool story, put it in the comments and we'll...
yeah, my dear friend
we'll
Geoff Whitehorn, or Alex Lifeson from Rush, or Tommy Taylor, you know, all the guys that you meet in the industry. And some of them have picks that they don't really... They throw in the audience and they play a different one. What is this? Oh, this is a Jeff Annihilator. You know him.
Jeff Waters.
Jeff Waters.
Okay.
You know, we spent some time. And who is this? Tony? Oh, I forgot. Too many people. But anyway, so that's the story about the picks.
We did get one interesting question that I wanted to ask from Jason, who says, does the material affect the ability to play pinched harmonics or other techniques? Can you expand on that at all?
Yeah, I would say the pinched harmonics comes more from your finger pinching, or if that's the right word, from getting there. But the amount of overtones created by the pick, if there's nothing there, it's hard to form it. So therefore, the pick actually has some influence. The playing style has more influence to that. But we can talk about gear for hours, and if we don't get the first ingredients right, which is your hands and the pick and that stuff, you never get there. For me, tone starts in my head. It's like I always have something like a vision of what I want to hear, and then I can tweak everything in the signal path towards that. And that includes picks, strings, cables, and all that stuff. Knowing that some of these components only have a few % effect, and some have a bigger effect, but sometimes if something is wrong, you are stuck with that thing. So that my point is here, I just want to show you a couple of effects, and then maybe you find, I'm missing that, and I heard that here in this episode. That's my story. And about that comes actually from how short I hold the pick, and then
playing with the flesh of the thumb as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the technique.
That's the technique.
Yeah. But we got some pretty cool picks that people have caught who are watching. Hi-Hatchi got Uli John Roth's pick.
Yeah. I have one of those.
Got a Malmsteen pick. Lex got a Bonamassa pick.
Yeah, I have a Malmsteen here as well.
Some pretty famous picks getting caught here. Jason says, a friend of mine caught Mark King's thumb tape from his bass playing at a level 42 gig, and he held onto this sweaty old thing for years.
Yeah.
Very cool. Bassists, they're different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mick Wall as well.
Yeah.
Ron Wood. He's pretty cool. You should throw picks out more often.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yours are more expensive. It would cost a lot of money, wouldn't it?
We have to, this is my own mold. I mean, usually picks are coming from this one and same mold teardrop shape, and then you order them at some factory that makes 100,000 a day. But these are kind of custom made. So I had to invest a few thousands in a mold to get that shape done. And then that shape is, then I used different kind of plastics just to experiment which I like the best, and then we had the machine running for like a day and make several picks. And by the way, Richie's son Jürgen, who lives in Hamburg, has the same picks from my mold. We have just his logo on there.
Okay.
But it's like two sides. One is the top and the bottom side. The bottom is the same for all of us, but the top side says G.R. Blackmore. I don't have one here now, but I have some. Yeah, anyway. So I'm sure that Richie has some of my shit as well from his son. You know, you never know. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the pick. The next thing are the strings, and here I would like to show you. Well, first, that's my personal preference. I play these strings for the guys that want to know what it is. This camera, it doesn't matter. Okay, Ernie Ball Hybrid Slinky, and these are the reinforced plain strings. The reason for that, because the old formula was sounding the same, but the strings were breaking easily. I mean, after 2 gigs, I wasn't sure if they would survive another gig. So with the reinforced plain strings, I'm happy now. They are safe. They changed it like 5 to 10 years ago. And these strings have been around for decades. And the list of legendary players is Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page / Jeff Beck, Paul McCartney, Keith Richards, Pete Townsend, Buddy Guy, Angus Young, John Petrucci, blah, 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 blah. Them all, basically. So this is a traditional kind of thing. I try not to make too much advertising for these because it's just what I use.
How did you come to choose these ones? Did you spend a long time doing it, or was it just like you began playing guitar, you were using these, you carried on using these?
I was using more Blackmore type strings. He used to have piccato strings, which kind of are hard to get. And then my little important mentor, Peter Weihe, I'm always talking about this gentleman. He has one of his straight moments where he said, "Boy, you play these, they are good." And this was it. And he was right. And now I'm so used to that string sound, because they sound slightly different, that I have a hard time to change. For instance, DNR strings are killer strings. They are probably even better in a way. But I got so used to my tone with these Ernie Ball strings that I couldn't actually I could not actually switch. And they have, for instance, very interesting strings like this Pure Blues here, which is pure nickel, and they sound warmer. Yeah, it's if you don't want that, what I like, this is the stuff to kind of tame the high end. In a nice way. It's not dull. It's just not so. Yeah, the high end is not so over present in a way. That's these strings, and then they have these bright and flexible strings. Of course, they are brighter, and they have more towards the standard tone. I would say, but whatever formula that is. Yeah, and they all have the same gauge. It's like 9 to 46, whatever I hold on the camera. So it's just the example of check the strings, because they can be, you can affect your tone by changing the strings. And then they have this Veritas version, which is, they say powerful, and it's true. They have more present mid-range in a way, not my cup of tea, but impressing. It's really impressive to see what you get from different strings. I checked them all, and I have a whole box of other strings as well. But for me, it's too late. I already have found like my tone, and especially with the Strat. If I change, I don't feel home anymore, and it's because I'm used to that. You know, maybe you should try more when you're younger and make your own choice. But there's a lot of tonal differences in different strings for, again, different material. All this material affects the tone. It also can affect the playability, like some strings feel softer, others feel a bit more controlled. And then there's like this nanoweb stuff that is coating that protects the strings from corrosion and expands the lifespan, which is cool, but I'm not a fan of those. For me, they feel weird. Again, I got used to the old school stuff, so I stay with the Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page page here in this, whatever.
What about string gauges? So the thickness of the strings?
Yeah, I mean, there's this long discussion of, you have to play 13s, otherwise you're not a man, and your tone sucks. And just mind, Billy Gibbons and Jimi Hendrix played 8s. Today, almost nobody plays 8s anymore. And did they have a great tone, or do they have a great tone? Well, yes, iconic tones. And the message is the gauge affects the tone, yes, but it affects a lot the playability. So if you are more into the cleaner side of tones, thicker strings have a more stable frequency spectrum, and they feel more stable whatever you play. If you play chords, it's kind of more balanced. Let me do an example here, because this is a hybrid set. So this is the 10 strings, the D string. And this is the thinner strings. Okay, it's not really fair, but you can already hear. You can hear the lower I go, the rounder the tone gets, and the less spanky. Whoa. But now it's a strat, and I love that. If I want that rounder, I don't play as hard. So if you have a thicker string, they kind of are more even, and it's harder to get them spanky because you have to hit them even harder. And it's maybe even not possible to get to the same amount of extra overtones like you get from a thinner string. So a set of 10s on the strat makes sense, a set of 9s makes sense, a set of 8s is the Hendrix kind of thing. Beware that you might go out of tune very easily. And that's the reason why I have this hybrid set which combines 9s and 10s, because the lower range, even with my thick, heavy pick, doesn't get out of tune when I hit hard. That's and if I had 9s or 8s on the bottom, it will go boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and the trick with these strings is you have to learn how also to hit them soft. They sound pretty good when you're not digging in too hard. So this is how I found my palette of tones with what I use for strings.
Yeah, and when do you change your strings?
Not very often, for many reasons. One, I'm a lazy guy. Second, once they are used on the guitar, they better stay in tune, especially on a strat. It's like, it's kind of, if you have played a gig with them, then the guitar is in tune and it's not changing anymore. And putting on new strings means you have to stretch them hard to get there, but still the strings is moving a bit, and it takes at least 15 to 20 minutes of playing to to stabilize the string tuning. So and the more you play them, the better they stay in tune. Of course, then next thing is the risk of breaking the string. And in the old days, I watched my guitar because sharp edges is, especially here on the saddles, it's kind of a risky contact string to metal. They usually break here. Did they ever break on another? Do your strings break like here? I can't remember that.
Mine break in the middle.
Really?
Somewhere, yeah.
What are you doing?
I have no idea. I mean, you hear that every time I play, don't you? I've got no idea what I'm doing. No, for me, it's always there.
Okay, cool.
I dig in, I think, a lot harder than you, and that's where they go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go there, but I think you're often playing on the thinner strings a lot more, whereas I'm down lower.
Yeah. And what about you? How often do you change the strings?
When they break.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And of course, there is a quality of fresh strings. But what is the quality? I mean, they have a better, a more defined tone, but it's also a little bit bright because, you know, when you do the amp settings or your system settings, we're diving into this topic very soon. You adjust to kind of not the newest, the brand new strings. So then your setting is a little bit too bright for the fresh strings. And of course, you know, it's like if this is 0, at the beginning you have plus 20%, and at the end you have minus 30% kind of, and then you start from plus 20 again. And so you should actually adjust a little bit to new strings or old strings. That helps.
Yeah.
Sometimes you only have to adjust mentally. You know, that's, by the way, that's a big sound factor. If you feel shit just because you are mentally in a shit mode, you sound shit. So if you are confident about your tone, you sound good. It's easy as that, you know? And think of that as well. I mean, reading all that and listening to this episode here could make you feel like, oh, nothing is right. And, you know, but I have 2 modes. One mode is the analytic mode, and I try to be not emotional about it. It's like, of course, I'm emotional about everything in a way, but in the analytic mode, I go into the deep shit and the best and whatever, and have that mode. When I play in front of an audience for a concert, I have the switch on the other setting, which says everything is fine, performance ready, even if it's shit. And that helps. That makes me sound better.
Yeah.
So that have that mental switch ready for performance. Yeah, it helps. I don't need any alcohol. I just need my mental switch. And of course, it needs to be in the zone. If everything is shit, but most of the time you can fix it mentally. Yeah. Question?
We have Lucas Fowler in the live stream. So, Hi, Lucas. Nice to see you here. But he says his strings tend to break at the tuners, which is
that's
different again.
Yeah. One thing is that I have seen with some guitar techs is some people have like little, what is it called? Like isolation things, like what you have with cables, you know, like a little round thing that you can put on top of a string to protect the direct contact of the string with the tuner or the saddle here.
Okay.
That can kill tone, but on the tuner side, I don't think it's a problem. So if they break on the tuner, you can maybe, you know, have some, I would call it heat. I mean, in the electronics, you use heat shrink, something like that to protect the cable from having contact. And something like that you can use here because that's not a sound factor because the string has more contact with the guitar on the nut. Maybe something like that helps. give it a try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Question about how you string your Les Paul. Talking about top wrapping it, as opposed to wrapping the strings the more standard sort of a way. How do you do it? The standard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, top wrap it. I'm with me and the Les Paul. I'm still not 100% sure. That's the standard way. Seems to be my way. I tried the other style as well, but how to describe it? It's maybe a bit bluesier in a way, but that's more my tone. Period. I tried. I found out what's the most important thing on a Les Paul is the bridge. This bridge of this Les Paul is an old 60s bridge and this is where the tone comes from. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't believe how much different that bridge is changing the tone. So there are some good bridges out there. If you're not happy with your Les Paul bridge, Tone Pros has some and blah blah blah. But if you are talking Les Paul tone, of course, strings, experiment with that. That's a very good point. I mean, everything we are talking here is this episode is about getting all the aspects on one table, and then you can try out bits and pieces and form your own recipe. That's what this is about. We have done individual episodes about kind of a lot of topics in depth, but this is like more to make you aware of that's all guitar. I mean, we had the pick, we had the string, we have the way of using the strings. Now we have the contact to the guitar, which is the hardware. On the Strat, for instance, it makes a difference what kind of tremolo system you are playing, and if what material is used. Material is always the key to a different tone. If there's cold rolled steel or just cheap whatever, and mass, weight, thickness of strings, of blocks, tremolo blocks, and the same with bridges here. That's creating a lot of tone.
So did you test out a bunch of different bridges on this same guitar just to find out that this was actually the secret behind the great tone of that instrument?
Yes. So this guitar, it's over 10 years ago that I bought that guitar, and it is a 68, as this kind of inlay is typical for a 68. And it had an ugly paint job, and it was not expensive. So this was kind of my affordable Les Paul platform. And then I kind of tried everything. I put in new frets. I put in the 5th set of humbuckers from basically everything I could find and see what I like. And I tried bridges, and in the end, reverb, original whatever 63 bridge makes that noise. Unfortunately, for some reason it's weird. And by the way, it's a similar thing with Strats. On the Strats, I only have the good news that I did this year one hardware with Trevor Wilkinson, where we tried to copy this as close as we could. And it actually makes a difference. And now even John Suhr guitars is using our bridge, which is a compliment, because he tried and he found out it's better than Fender. I'm not saying anything worse bad about Fender, but I'm saying the old Fender hardware has some magic. And maybe you've never heard that, but they're thinking, hey, is it the rusty shit? No, it is the material. I tried all the different kind of saddles, from different manufacturers, from different. In the end, it's material again. What kind of material is coming, and then again the method, and then there is a certain kind of complex noise, which is kind of a frequency spectrum and a frequency character you get from certain parts, components, and only if that comes together in a package, you get the package of a real good sounding vintage Strat or vintage Les Paul, which is my word. But there are other great packages like, Euge Wadowieta, who was here the other week with his EMG pickups, the 81 pickups and his signature guitars. It's all a package, and it needs to it kind of interacts, and if it fits together, that's creating a certain tone. And with that guitar, Euge wouldn't be Euge. If I play on his guitar, I can do my thing, but I'm not that same guy that plays the vintage Strat. And so the tone and the instrument and the amp and whatever, speaker and all that stuff affects also my playing. Mm-hmm. And therefore, that goes back to the tone starts in your head. So you have to think of what do you want. So if you want to be John Sykes, don't play vintage Strat then. It's very easy. Get something with decent humbuckers, and that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. This whole episode, it centers on the fact that tone is, we all hear it differently as well.
Yeah.
So you have your tone, which is presumably your ideal tone.
Yeah.
But for some people, they might think, I like it, but I would change this, this, and this. And that's why you have to go on your own little journey and find your own perfect tone.
It is your tone.
Yeah.
My tone is easy. Put the vintage channel on, put the gain on 10, have the tone controls in the middle, and... So that's all I need, my clean tone. And by the way, that's another great topic that I had at the clinic last week. Today, people have 10 presets to do what I do with one setting here. It's like here. I put this on 4 now. 5. So there was my clean tone. I can even go to which is like 2.5. This is 5. My crunch tone. I go to 7. I go to 10. Okay, what's going on here is the old school way of tone, and that's all the volume control. And if just for a mental preparation is like, do I need 3 presets to do that, and have like a clean range, and I have a crunch range, and I have a lead range, and then I have a limited range of dynamics and expression there. In the old school way, in the 60s, they didn't have 3 channels. They had only one amp, one single channel, whatever. And you had 3 choices. One was Fender, one was Vox, and the third one was a Marshall type of amp. So, and the rest was all in your playing. And of course, in your pickups and the strings and the blah, 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 and all these little details. But you made the sound with this. And that's a different mindset. So I'm used to multi-channel amps and I like them also. But I want to remind you that there is a lot more inside a single sound just by the playing and the guitar if you go old school. And that's something here, vintage channel. Yeah, it's there. You know, if I go to the classic channel, it's there too, but not as much as on the vintage channel. And this is why that's my tone. Okay, anyway, that's my recipe. And I use that pick and I use my strings and blah, blah, blah. And it still makes sense. I can switch to any of these amps and it doesn't sound better. It's just slightly different. And this is exactly what my recipe is.
Yeah. But going back to your point about 10 presets for
Yeah.
one of what you have, I can imagine that if you're using something like a Kemper profile or whatever, you would need those different presets to access those different tones.
Yeah, of course. And it's a different mindset of playing as well. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's a different thing. And you should think about that just as we think about strings and stuff like that as well. You know, if you want your pristine, clean preset with no overdrive, it's possible here too, but and maybe you're a singer and you don't have the, how you say, the time to think about the. You press your preset and you know 100% this is it. Here you have all the nuances. That means you are responsible to dial in the right thing. Otherwise it sounds shit. So there's 2 ways of doing it. But the point that I want to make is, if you use these sounds the way that I thought of those sounds, there's probably more than you think. And this is like, every time I do it, I'm still getting excited about it. That's a... And I never... I didn't invent that. It's just the old school thing. And yeah, I'm still happy with my recipe. That's another good thing. I'm checking different things and I said, oh, that's nice. But I know where my home is. And that's great. So we talked about the hardware. Next step would be pickups. Mm-hmm. And the first thing you can do to pickups is you can adjust the height. And I do have my vintage here, because let me show this guitar. Who needs a strap in the video studio? Nobody. So I would like to adjust this screw is on the end. Let me see if I can change this one here. Let me the bridge pickup. So I was lowering the bridge pickup. I try to... Now I raise it again. There's more output, but there's also more bass. verses. I go back. This is the hardest I can get. So what we are changing here is the string in the magnetic field, blah blah blah, and sound on the sound side. It is moving the spectrum a bit. So if your guitar sounds too thin, you can raise the pickups. That's a simple thing.
Do you have a set favorite distance away from the strings that you always like to have?
On the Strat, this side, which is the high E string, I try to make very high, kind of as high as possible, but make sure that the high string doesn't touch the pole piece. Because can you hear how thick it sounds? Just vice versa. Let me put it down again. So. Ah shit! I moved the pot, but again. And bring it up again. So get it higher. This sounds right to my ears. So, on the other hand, if I would make the neck pickup the same height, it would first create a stratitis, which means the magnetic field is getting the strings blocking the vibration, and that kind of makes some weird overtones and makes the note sharp.
Yeah, it pulls them out of tune, doesn't it?
Yeah. But here, you're not in danger because the movement of the string is so little at this place. I mean, in the middle of the string, it moves this much, and of course, it's getting less to the ends. So this is the highest point, this is a bit lower, and this is like the lowest point. That's my way of setting it up. And in that combination, and I double check with the switch that the bridge position has equal volume. Just a different tonality.
Yep.
Okay, that's the height of the pickups. If we go into the next level, of course, we can change the pickups. You know, there's like the original pickups of and there are all these special guys that do whatever, 60s, 50s on a Strat. I'm just talking every year, and the Strat sounds different, so you can choose early 60s versus the late 60s, black button, gray button, blah blah blah. And they are maybe the one is more aggressive, the other one has a bit more even mid-range spectrum. I can show that on my original Strat because it is actually a mixed set. This is the original. There's a certain steelness or brightness in the outer pickups. And there's a bit more woodiness in the middle. And because this is based, this is the original Fender pickups, and this in the middle is a reversed wound pickup, but based on a gray bottom pickup from a 66 Stratocaster. And there's is a more balanced tone. It's something I like in the middle position, yeah. And versus this, it's like more in your face.
Yeah.
Even the neck position has more aggression, kind of. Well, here's my Blackmore again, because he only plays the two positions. He doesn't even have the middle pickup anymore. But I wanted that, and then that middle pickup is this nice balanced rhythm quality, and the in-between positions get even spankier. That's my combination here. Wow. Talking pickups.
Yeah, we've talked Strat pickups. What about other guitars? What about Les Pauls,
Les
humbuckers, P90s, other pickup types?
Let's do the classic humbucker here, because this is this is a nice object to tweak as well. Let's go for the neck pickup on your Les Paul. Now comes the weirdest shit ever. We learned about the height, which is the same like on the Strat. I mean, if I put this higher, I get more output, and I get whatever, a bigger, warmer tone, which is too boomy. So I lower the pickup again. So at first glance, you think more is more, but once you play with the guitar, if that neck pickup is round and warm and still has, how you describe it, not too much always present, you know, that turns to be boomy. So here, that's the reality comes from that note needs to speak on the neck pickup. And if those go boom, boom, I can show you again, when I raise it, it will lose it, kind of. Full versus, it's a playing thing as well. If I can be in, and the note is always clean and clear. That's the important thing. So now we have something super esoteric. Maybe we can hear it, maybe not. I'm using the B string, the E on the B string, and now I adjust the pole piece here, or this, and you see the slot goes like in line with the string now.
Yep.
And now 90. Can you hear a difference?
Nope.
Okay, let me do it again.
Can you hear a difference?
Yes.
Well, that sounded a little bit more muffled, maybe, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Again. Okay. Like 90 degrees. In line. It can never be as present as aggressive when it's in line. Even if I dig in, it doesn't get there. There's more dynamic if it's 90 degrees.
Yeah. Okay.
And this effect, in combination with the height of those screws, you can use to balance out the strings. If you need more presence here, get it 90 degrees. If it's too shrill, get it in line. If you need more volume, get it higher. If you need less volume, get it lower.
Are we on a level now where you would recommend the guys at home try this themselves, or is this something where you can actually make things sound worse instead of making them sound better?
Well, always.
Because I could imagine I could make my guitar sound a lot worse if I
but
do too much twisting.
Well, my theory, or make it very easy. Remember what you've done. Maybe take notes.
Or take a picture before you
take
start,
a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, with this, you don't know how many turns you've done.
Yeah.
So the best thing is you make a note and say, okay, I make one turn, a full turn or half turn, and don't go anything in between. And then make tests. Maybe record it and see how that sounds when you listen back to the recording. And then, but you always have to make notes so you know how to go back before you ruin your best pickup setting. But that stuff exists, you know? So, and this cost nothing, because you have a screwdriver, you have the pickup already, and you can change the tone. And then I can use this trick on all the screws here, and as you can see, they are weird. Some, like this G string is low, the D string is fairly up, and it has a 45 degrees because I couldn't decide. But there was a day where I spent half a day just adjusting the pickups. But these are my sound design days where I'm getting closer and closer and more in depth, and then after this I finish, and then I try to live with it and make music. And if I'm happy, I don't change it again. And if I'm not happy, I make a whole day again where my mind switches to that side. Because you can't do this in 5 minutes. That's not any of these things. You know, take your time. It's not a good plan to do such stuff just before the live show. That's never a good thing. You know, do it when you have time, and when you maybe have a reference guitar, another guitar, or somebody else, your tone friend. I have such tone friends, and then we talk about this and blah blah blah, and then we come to a conclusion, and then we're happy for the next half year, and then somebody makes a new discovery and it starts all over again.
Yeah, but so the moral of this point is, if you're unhappy with your pickups, you might not necessarily need to replace them with something new and expensive, but you might be able to get your screwdriver out and
get a lot closer,
upgrade them yourself.
Yeah, upgrade the tone yourself. That's good news. I mean, so far nothing was expensive. The picks are not expensive, the strings are not expensive, the pickup settings are not expensive. When you change the whole pickup, this is where the money comes.
Yeah.
Okay, next point I want to make is I change guitar, and I will use my Strat again, and I use different guitar cables, guitar leads. So, and now I even make it more puristic. Without the switching system, I go straight into the amp. 1 Mercury edition for... Okay. Let me see if I can have a reference. I don't know. This is we didn't have a sound check. I just thought, let's do it. Okay, this is something I want to show you. So let's memorize the number. I put it exactly on the 7 here. So everything is all the way up. Dummy coil excluded, bridge pickup. So this is cable number 1. I try this cable. Cable number 2, which used to be my holy grail cable for years. And now we hear if we can hear it. let's see. Just to prove, 7 full bridge position. Do you hear the difference?
More saturated and more compressed, or are my ears tricking me?
I would describe it as there's less high end. That's the first impression. Okay, we have to start this. This is kind of a wine tasting experience here. So, first thing, listen to the high end. I switch back for the other cable.
Can you guys hear a difference at home, by the way?
Okay, let's play it. It's way brighter.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check it again. I just played this one chord, 7. So and this chord uses all the strings, and it uses. So I'm not changing anything. I'm just changing the cable. With the other cable, the top strings are more present, and if I dig in hard, the bottom strings are even. I know why I like that cable. Okay, next thing is I try to show you where. To me, that's always like round in the pocket. So switching to the other cable. I can hear tons more high end and less earthiness. Okay, and more glass when I do this. Okay.
Yeah, this one definitely has a more brittle sound. The other one is fuller.
It's fuller.
That's for sure.
So I go back, so we know I do the same thing. The brittle here. I play the same point with the same aggression. But you know the foundation frequencies of the note are still there. With the other cable, I have only the overtones. And I try to play the same aggression, mood, and tone with the other cable, just for. It's a very good cable. It's very clean, but I think this big cable has some meatiness, some earthiness to it.
Yeah, there is definitely something to it. I think what we should probably do after this is do kind of a short edit of the video where there's no talking in between, there's no time when you're switching between the cables, because just the 10 or 20 seconds when we're talking, when you
Your
switch,
brain goes
it's
somewhere.
enough for the ear to lose the difference a little bit. And the guys at home can hear the difference, as I can as well, but I think it would be more obvious if we cut the video together slightly differently.
Yeah, and this is why, by the way, I love the AB switcher. I don't have an AB switcher for the cable here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this is exactly why I love AB switching.
Are the cables the same length, by the way? Because the guys are asking, how does cable length affect the tone?
The longer, the darker, basically, because it's the capacitance that changes the peak of the pickup, and that affects the resonance frequency of the pickup, and the capacitance is by length. So, and this is a weird cable because it has some arrows which shows you which direction you have to plug them in. Mm-hmm. And this is a double balanced, silver plated, copper, super special garden hose Schlauchkabel. Somebody told me this is the Holy Grail. Of course, everything is the Holy Grail.
Can you buy this one, by the way, or is this some old thing that you can't purchase anymore?
It is a Fetzoflex by Spectraflex, but I'm not sure if they do it anymore. And I had to repair it every year because it is a lifelong guarantee, but it breaks every year because it's so stiff. And let me show you this cable. Another quality, it's not as earthy, but it's big and it has a clarity bigger than the first cable. Let me try to be fast. So. No low end. Again, I'm not changing anything. It is, here it's audible. My middle pickup makes total sense with that pickup. Suddenly that pickup likes that cable and that combination. So the message here, the moral is different cable, different tone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe a few percent, but another few percent besides the pick, besides the string, besides the pickup settings, besides whatever. So you can look into this topic. Weird.
What happens with that cable if you plug it in the other way against the arrows? Does it explode?
Well,
Does
it will not
happen?
let's do it.
Yeah.
We are not supposed to do that. But
Well, I don't want to break anything.
No. I mean, this is you know, whatever we do, we can't kill the amp because it is so. It has something to do with the shielding. Let's hear if we hear a difference. It sounds thinner. Maybe I'm looking at the arrows and I know it's right, but it sounds right. Let me go back for my big fat cable and do the same thing.
Have you had much experience with wireless systems, by the way? And do they...
Wrong pickup. Sorry, I moved the pot all. I can still hear the differences now.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, I did use wireless systems, yes. The wireless has a problem because the cable from the pickup to the wireless system is so short that you have no capacitance. Therefore, a proper designer of a wireless system puts in a capacitor to emulate the cable capacitance. But by changing the capacitor type, you can change the sound, because there's different type of ceramic capacitors and even in the new kind of format like SMD little part components that we have different materials being used, and again these different materials for creating a capacitor I can hear. Some people go, maybe you're not, but I would take the challenge, because I've done the same thing on the amp 1, listening to different capacitors for our amp. And it is worth trying all that stuff. And why do people pay whatever $100 for a Bumblebee capacitor for a Les Paul? Because that sound comes with that capacitor, and it comes not with a capacitor with the same value with a different material. If you have the same value with the same principle without being a original old Bumblebee, you can get very, very close and pay a fragment of the price. That's always my recipe. It's like owning the real deal and then looking for the best alternative part. And you can have something that costs only $1 instead of $100 for a capacitor, doing a 98% job and not paying the hype. But the hype is there to define there is something, tonal value. I mean, there's always, I'm excited about tone value, but I hate the hype and I hate to pay the hype. That's the even worse thing, you know. Other people go, oh, I'm so proud I have that, and that's the hype. But, you know, that was never my game.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, wireless systems. And hey, talking about wireless systems, you know, wireless systems do change the tone, and this is this is the proof. You know, some company like Solo Dallas makes the circuitry that is used in the wireless system for Angus Young, and that's actually changing the tone for something good. That's why people like it, including myself. Maybe we can show again. Short cable here. Can you pass me the
this one?
Yeah, the battery. What is it called? Pack. So we can power this on. Let me show you again. No, we need to switch it on. Yeah, now it works. I need nothing else. I just need my amp. So this is wireless system. Okay, let's get rid of all the boost stuff so we get unity gain kind of thing, you know. So I think that's equally loud. Just a touch, you know, of extra compression. Makes it fuller. And this is the Angus Young secret.
The secret.
Yeah. And then give it a little bit more of that, and then so this is another lesson we can learn, or another moral. If you have something in your signal chain, it will affect your tone. Is it the cable? Is it even just a buffer? It will affect your tone. You have to decide if you like it or not. I mean, he liked it so much that he recorded even in the studio with his wireless system, and now we can buy this wireless system without being wireless, just, you know, the circuitry of the analog side of it. And that's, yeah, because the effect is great. Yeah. And this brings me to the next element, these little helpers. You know, I mean, we have, for instance, if you give me the Spark EQ, we have something very simple. Let's try if I can get that. Oh, I can have the 10-band EQ as well, but who cares? Let's try this one first. So the first thing is, okay, this was used by a metal player, I can tell. No bass, lots of treble. Let's go, I put everything in the middle and see if we can get unity. Oh, it's definitely not unity. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take this as our reference point. Having an EQ, I can change stuff. Like maybe I want more treble. Let's put in the treble. Switch it off. So there's a lot of treble, which can be nice. Do I need to change the pickups? No, I just buy a kind of inexpensive EQ booster thing. So, and maybe that solves your problem. You know, if you have a muddy clean tone in this setup with the amp 1, I would have other recommendations. But I show you my recommendation just to solve the problem without a pedal is like here. And I have more treble because the volume has the treble bleed, and by reducing the volume here, I get more treble. Yeah. Even less volume, even more treble. I have another toy which is the custom control on the side, and if I bring this up, it's even more breath. But imagine you have an amp that is not as flexible. That pedal could do the job as well.
Yeah.
That's just a frequency thing. For me, the cooking recipe of sounds is always overtones coming from the instrument itself, which is created by the strings and the wood and whatever. So if your guitar is like dead, you can have a lot of boost pedals to get something exciting out of the guitar. It's a boost, frequency boost, or overdrive overtones. Because my theory is a flat sound is boring. Even a clean tone needs to have overtones in a way. In a certain way too. Even jazz tones have overtones, and that makes them speak. This is too brittle. I use my. So this is kind of if a clean tone, if you plug into your console or into my power amp, here I have that killer cable. Remember how great that cable sounded, and I go straight into the return, and it's like. And by the way, I can switch to the next to the bridge pickup, and it's not even exciting anymore. It's like totally boring. And this has nothing to do with just treble, because let me plug in here. I keep the pedal off for now, but I reduce all the treble I have here and there and show you that still an exciting tone, even though there is no high end anymore. Because we have overtones created by a clean tone that is on the edge of breakup, and that makes the sound alive. You know, all this, I don't know, blubbern in Deutsch. What is English?
I don't even know.
Making bubble sound. Yeah. And so overtones come from the instrument, but when I plugged into the effects return, it's low impedance. It's lower impedance than the input of the guitar input of the preamp. The preamp input is 2 mega ohm, and this is about 10k or something, 10 kilo ohms. And this kind of affects the aliveness of the pickups, which we heard in nuances when we have different cables. The cable, we actually don't hear the cable that much. We hear the interaction of the pickup with the input stage, and the cable in between kind of puts everything somewhere. Different cable puts it on different places. That's what I'm saying. And so what's the message here? These little pedals can do a lot for you. If you are missing frequencies, use an EQ like that. If you are missing kind of drive overtones, we can have something like this transparent overdrive pedal. Let's make that example here. And plug in here.
So this is the Greer Lightspeed.
Yeah.
And we did do a whole episode, didn't we, on transparent overdrives?
Yes.
So if you want more detail on that, search through the Academy of Tone lists, search for transparent overdrives, and you'll find a whole 2 hours of fun on that topic.
And in a few weeks, we have something online where you can type it in and find directly, you know, we have all the data ready, but not, our machine is not ready yet. So, okay, let's see. Okay, let's put everything in the middle again, because I kind of reduced the high. Okay, this is kind of for me. How I do it is I switch and I close my eyes so I don't see if the light is on or not, and then if the tone still rings, and if it's not changing too much, it seems to be unity gain.
Okay.
That's the way I do it. It is missing a touch now. But anyway, so this is kind of not much difference. So, I mean, just pretend this sound is shit and you want more. Okay, then we bring in the pedal and whatever, try the loudness. This will drive the pedal and the amp. If I will use the drive only, I will drive the pedal more than the amp. And maybe that's the tone you're looking for, because it's more controlled, you know? If I bring the loudness even lower and increase the drive to max, I can hear the drive of the pedal. It's nice, but it's not as alive. Therefore, I kind of like to increase the loudness and then find the perfect spot for the drive again. Let's switch off the pedal, so we hear. Yeah, the magic is gone. good thing is it actually works with the volume control, which is like... That's a nice way how to tweak a tone as well.
Yeah, and guitar pedals, of course, are as individual as everything else that we've had on the list. So there's literally thousands of overdrive pedals you can choose to boost your signal in different ways. It's personal choice. I love the Lightspeed. I'm a huge fan of it. I use it all the time. That seems to be a pedal that works whatever guitar I use, whatever amp I use, whatever other pedals I use. It seems to make me sound better. So I basically always have it on.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a I want more butter on my bread pedal.
Yeah.
You know? I have a bunch of those. And that's actually mine, right?
Yep.
So
it's borrowed.
Yeah, it's okay because I have a bunch of those in different direction. I love this kind of pedals in general. And, you know, one of my go-to pedals in that direction is just where is it? Hold it for a second. The Replex. The Replex is that Echoplex thing that has the tube stage in there, like the old Echoplex. And this is a similar effect. You know, when I bring this thing in, it is kind of the butter, the extra, you know. So, and that's on my pedal board for two reasons. One is that effect, and the second reason is the nice tape echo sound, which is another thing which I like. Do I have? I have the power supply here. Let me show you that these two animals are actually pretty similar in a way. The color that the Lightspeed is doing is not too far off. I killed the... Do we have an empty socket somewhere?
Let me look around the other side.
In front of...
Yeah, over here.
Can you...
Yeah, you take that.
Okay, watch the head, please, because this is a messy setup today, but who cares? I have a great idea. We have another patch cable somewhere, and I borrowed the... This studio is killer because we have everything at hand. So we have... Wait a minute. Master down. Output here goes to Replex output, and this goes to Replex input. Then I can have output. And this goes to the input. And then we can A/B it. So now dry sound. Both pedals in bypass. The Lightspeed, we already found the sweet spot for that. Nice. And now slightly different, but you know what I mean. It's more drive and less volume, same like here. And now the Lightspeed. I mean, this is extreme now, but you can see why I love that pedal. So, Lightspeed, and Replex. It's a bit darker, but I can get the bloominess, you know. Still on my middle pickup, which is, and yeah, neck pickup, you know. Yeah. And this one is also nice color. So anyway, I love all these pedals, and just to show you one more, but I think we have done episodes of that.
Yeah, and we can do more in future as well.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to go through all the pedals.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not all the pedals, but lots of pedals.
Lots of pedals. Anyway, this is my fire bottle. It's another one of my favorite, and they're all great. I love them. I have shitloads of these pedals. Why? Because again, every pedal has a slightly different color and places the guitar somewhere and works the same way with you and me, makes me feel better, sound better, play better. And that's the magic of pedals. And by the way, that's also the tiny little differences in the cables and in the settings and in the adjustments of the pickups and
Yep.
and all that stuff. But
Exactly, and it's all deeply personal.
yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah. So what works for me might not work for you. But that is the point of I would call these type of pedals more like sound adapter pedals. Like, you know, there are certain pedals that have a strong character, like a fuzz. That's not a sound adapter. This is creating a sound, and then that sound takes over. But this kind of transparent overdrive or boosts with nuances, for me, is a sound adapter that places the guitar somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't alter the bass character of your
Yeah.
tone, so your sound is still there, but you can just give it a little bit more of whatever frequency you need or whatever
Yeah.
little bit of drive you need. Yeah,
Exact-
that's why I like these kind of pedals, and I think that's why
Yeah.
the term transparent overdrive is
Yeah.
a bit of a cliche right now because everyone loves it, but for a good reason. I
Yeah,
think.
for good
Yeah.
reason. That's but we live in the age of these spices. You know, it's like spices for your cooking. And in the old days, you had those tape delays and your basic tube amps, and you dialed in, tweaked those, and then you had a variac like Van Halen. To 1 year, he passed away today. To maximize the tone for your taste. This were the old means, the old parameters available, and now we have pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing about pedals is if your amp has dynamic, if your amp is more dynamic, you probably have more fun with pedals, because a pedal changes, or how you describe it, transfers some of that electric dynamic into other overtones, into a musical dynamic. And if your amp is still dynamic or more dynamic, there's more happening, because then it's like gain staging. That's more complex overtones again. And this is why I love the real deal old amps more than some of the modern amps that are kind of maxed out already.
Yeah.
And this is why the vintage channel and the clean channel, they have that extra dynamic range.
Yeah.
That's so important about this amp. Some people don't get it, but other people know why it's there, and they can feel it either, or they notice it with the pedals, because on the amp 1 the pedals sound more musical, especially on the clean and the vintage channel, because there is that kind of natural tube amp ness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's after pedals on the list?
Well, find your ideal amp.
Well, we got that one sorted, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Get one of those. Whatever. Any amp in this room is a killer amp. Doesn't. Tweak your settings, but again, tweaking the settings on the amp needs to be done in the mindset of your tone. And be aware when you change something in the signal chain that you might have to adjust your tone stack again, or adjust, some of the gain or volume settings again. And here's a simple rule. If you everything needs to be in balance. So if you make a drastic change here, you have to compensate it on some other place. And maybe that's a killer solution, or maybe not, but you have to try that. It's like a little bit changes a little bit. So I sometimes go and exaggerate stuff to get a feel for what is happening. And just what I did here with those two pedals is like a similar direction, but trying out, how much drive do I actually want from the tube? And maybe that's too much, Just because I can get tube drive doesn't mean that I have to get 100 maxed out % tube drive. Sometimes it's less is more in the right amount. It's just like a little salt on your meal is better than if it's so salty that you can't eat it anymore.
Yeah.
And on the other hand is like with a meal, when you have some salt at the beginning, you don't put on extra salt afterwards. It's probably not needed anymore. So it's a process. So if you put on a lot of treble in the front end, don't push the highs in your tone control again that too much there. Be careful. So keep the balance.
Yeah.
And this is cooking recipes.
Yeah, I'm hungry now. I realize since you talking about this stuff.
There's nothing wrong about good food and
true.
Good taste.
Yeah. But one other thing that we wanted to get to about the amps as well, maybe am I jumping to the next thing on the list, is once you've got all this stuff, it's the placement. It's the physical location, depending on where you're performing the music, if you're playing a gig, if you're in a studio, if you're just at home. You've got to physically set that stuff up to make it work best for you in your surroundings.
Absolutely. When you think about your amp and you found, a nice setting with everything. My experience is when you play on stage, the room that you play in is part of your sound. And if it's not good for you, it will not be fun for you to play there. So you should also experiment a little bit about the placement of your amp on stage. There's general stuff like, is it on the floor for maximum bass? Do you raise a little bit for a little less bass? Do you angle the cabinet to get a bit of the beam of the speakers? Do you use a deflex to get the beam with the deflex and stuff like that? Do you angle the cabinet? Do you put it on the side? And if I have my standard setup where I usually place my 1x12 cabinet, which is easy, and then if I'm not happy, I change it. But again, I have a vision of the tone that I want to achieve. And when the tone is not there, I'm thinking about, okay, maybe I have to move it a little bit back to the wall. Sometimes that gives me extra low end. Or sometimes if it's kind of boomy, I get it closer to me, or I put it more on the side, stuff like that. So the placement of the physical cabinet or the cabinet on stage does a lot to that. Same in your living room. I mean, maybe you put the amp somewhere because that's the place next to your flowers and it sounds totally shit. I mean, if you're happy, don't change it. That's fine. But if you're not happy, maybe try another corner, and maybe you get inspired. I mean,
yeah, and experimentation is also good.
Yeah.
And actually, again, for you guys who want to know a bit more about that stuff, we have a whole episode which we did in the previous studio.
Yeah.
Where we spent time moving cabinets around and lifting them up and putting them on top of other things, changing their angles and stuff like that. So search for that on Academy of Tone and spend time doing it yourselves as well. Just twist the speakers round, you know.
Yeah.
Put a blanket over it, angle it to the floor, angle it up, and you really start to notice differences.
Absolutely. And on the BluGuitar speaker video 2, we have two. One was in the one that I've done in the rehearsal room where I had the fat cap and the nano cap with the drummer, and then there was a second one in some theater where I have placed a mic at a certain position, like where I would stand on stage, and then I've done all this thing with cabinets and have two cabinets and angled and blah 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 and all that stuff. So that's kind of interesting to watch that, so you get a feel for what could happen, and then in the end, once you have that feel, you can take your own choice and get the results that you have in your head. Again, the vision of your tone. The last point is find the right volume. That's a thing also coming back from the clinic last Saturday was these days it's bizarre. Sometimes you come to a stage with a rock band and you're not allowed to play rock anymore. It's kind of, can you turn down? Can you turn down? Can you turn down? I mean, listening to AC/DC means you're listening to rock music, and rock music has a natural volume when there is an acoustic drum kit. And the acoustic drum kit defines the overall volume of the band, and the guitars are not working if they are just 30 or 50% of the drum kit. Then it's not rock and roll. It's a drummer with some wimpy guitar players, and anybody in this universe will not make sounded rock, you know? And Angus Young, Malcolm Young and AC/DC works because the guitar is at least equally as loud as the drums. So here is my rule. If you want to rock, play the right volume. And you need to have that headroom as well. And if the tone engineer guy comes to you and say you're too loud, maybe you face the guitar amp inwards to the stage. So he's not, the speaker is not pointing at the PA guy.
And then when the sound check's done, you turn it back up again.
Yeah. So my rule is, for me, it's very simple. I have my setting that works every gig, and I'm not making any compromise. I go there, I do my sound check, and I said, hey guys, I'm totally honest. This is stage volume. And if the drummer is cheating us here by trying to be nice, I promise you, in the middle of the first song already, it will be different. So, and I'm playing with many different drummers. I know exactly what's going on. I can tell you after one bar of drum sound check if he is the kind of drummer that changes the volume, or I know I have and this is where I set my master, and my master goes never under 4 and never higher than 7, because I don't know any drummer that plays that loud. and I know very loud drummers. So it is that range, and that range is critical. But if somebody asks me to turn down and I'm already at 4, it's, for me, there's no discussion. It's like you don't get it. I mean, I've done it just to prove that it's total bullshit. Total bullshit. So I have to say this in this emotional, strict way. Different story if you play in-ears and the sound guy takes over everything. But if you are an old school, whatever rock band or whatever band that plays with the real drums, listening to the band with the drum kit, the bass amp and the guitar amp and whatever. I'm not talking about the singer and the monitors, but I'm talking about the band, the rhythm section or whatever you call that. That's a reality. And you have to respect that reality. Or you book your DJ, period. You know? If then don't do it. And my experience is every time I made a compromise to please them, it was total shit for the audience because the whole energy of the band was not working. I made the experience also, I had a gig after the clinic, and it's like we had a band before us playing, and it was kind of loud already. And I thought, man, okay, let's see if we kill it with our volume or if we don't. But reality was we were louder and everybody loved it because we knew how to use that room, that volume in a way that it was pleasant. It was not shrill, it was not, no, it was just punchy. And so it was a nice party. And the message here is get the right frequencies, but get the right placement. If it's too offensive for somebody, move your amp, try to find a compromise that you can hear yourself the way you want it. And that, I do understand sometimes my singer tells me, oh, can you move a little bit? And then, okay, I move it a little bit and I'm happy and he's happy too. I'm not saying I'm not doing a compromise, but there is a certain limit where there is no discussion anymore. It's like, hey, sorry guys, you can book a jazz duo or an acoustic guitar player, but not a 3-piece power trio. And we can play very soft too. Yeah. That's not the point. We are not making the loudest evening of them all. No, we are, but there is a certain dynamic we can use when we have that volume. And I'm showing that at the sound check, which is shocking. It's like, oh, are you serious? And I said, yes, you will love it. And after the concert, the sound guys never had different results. Or the guys they did techno and R&B, but never heard a rock band, So anyway, that's my experience.
Yeah, and it's an important lesson because it's the very final point is after all the tweaking that you do, the changing of the strings and the finding the perfect pick and making sure that your pickups are the right height, getting the right guitar, getting the right amp, getting the right pedals, the most important thing is that you play and enjoy and feel the music and inspire yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
To enjoy the music.
And this is why people book you as a band and pay you for that. And if you are not able to do that because somebody told you to do stuff that doesn't belong or that makes it impossible to do it, that's okay. We don't have to go to the old extreme where you have the full stack, in a little cafe house, which is that's not today. I mean, this is why I have my 1x12 because I can hit the 112 hard enough to make the speaker work the way I want it to work, and for me it works perfect. I don't need anything more. And if I would play arenas, there comes the point where I have a second cabinet only because of the huge stage, and I want to move there, and I still want to hear myself without latency. So I put another cabinet in that corner, and that works. Or I have to play in-ears, which is then a totally different game. And by the way, this is the topic of next week when I have Manuel Kettenring again as a guest. He plays in-ear and he has a stereo rig. And so we talk about stereo rigs, in-ear stuff. I played in-ear for 3 years, and this was back in the days when it was still mono. And to be honest, I hated it, but I had to do it because the stages were so big that even 2 4x12s were not doing the job for a show where they needed me to go wherever. So that's why I had to have and we needed to be funky and tight. With a rock band, I would even place the amps traditionally on stage and do it, but they wanted the show and all the stuff, so we had to play in ear. Mono is shit, believe me. Stereo is the way to go there, and this is the topic for next week.
Yep. It's going to be a very exciting show next week.
As all our shows.
As they are indeed. Yeah.
Hopefully. And the good thing is, like, what was the song? Dirty Deeds
Done Dirt Cheap.
Yeah, so, the good thing is I come up with a theme or topic for the thing, and we go with the flow, and it's always interesting to improvise through the topics.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I just want to take a special minute just to thank everyone who's been in the chat tonight. I've been trying to follow it a little bit just at the side. There have been so many important sort of useful comments, and guys are helping each other out, answering questions because we can't take them all during the show.
Yeah.
And just showing very strong amounts of knowledge, that you're giving out info every week and people are learning stuff. So it's really, really good to see. So thank you for sticking around with the show. It's been a long show as well. I think we've been on for a couple of hours now.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, we are long. The last thing I commented that I have to make is subscribe to the channel, because I always forget about that.
Yeah, please do that. And purchase a shirt if you'd like to, if you're buying some of Thomas' picks anyway.
Yeah. And we have long sleeves.
The
winter is coming. Yeah. We have long sleeves. So as you see, this comfy. The good thing is, Thanks for joining this episode. See you next week. Thanks, Rich. And any further questions, feel free to ask anytime. And we will do a Q&A someday.
Yes.
Again. Okie doke. Take care. See you. Bye.
Cheers.